The crystal glass shattered against the marble wall, missing Alexander Huntington's head by inches. He didn't flinch. He'd learned long ago that showing fear to his father only made things worse. "You will marry Sophia Chen in 6 weeks, or I will cut you off from everything." Richard Huntington's voice echoed through the penthouse office, each word sharp as broken glass. "Do you understand me, Alexander? Everything. The company, your trust fund, this lifestyle you've grown so comfortable with." Alex straightened his tie, his jaw tight. "You can't just arrange my life like I'm some business deal, Dad. This isn't the 18th century. No, it's not." Richard moved to his desk, his anger cooling into something more dangerous, calculation. It's the 21st century, where smart men build empires through strategic alliances. The Chen restaurant empire, combined with Huntington hotels, will create the most powerful hospitality brand in the country. Margaret Chen understood this before she died. Her daughter understands it. Why can't you? "Because I'm not a chess piece!" Alex slammed his hand on the desk. "I'm your son, and you're asking me to marry a complete stranger." Richard pulled out a glossy photograph and slid it across the polished surface. A woman in a sleek evening gown stood at some charity gala, her expression distant and composed. Beautiful, yes, but cold. Corporate. Everything Alex had grown to despise about his world. Sophia Chen, 26 years old, Stanford MBA, runs her mother's restaurant empire. From what I hear, she's as eager for this marriage as you are. Richard's smile was thin, which is to say not at all, but she understands duty, responsibility, legacy. Perhaps you could learn something from her. Alex studied the photo. The woman looked like every other socialite he'd ever met, polished, perfect, and utterly unreal. "Have you even met her?" "Once, at her mother's funeral. Poised young woman, very proper." Richard poured himself a scotch. "The engagement party is in 6 weeks. You'll meet her then. You'll smile for the cameras, and you'll do what's expected of you. Unless you'd prefer to see how well your culinary degree serves you in the real world." The jab hit its mark. Alex had spent 4 years studying at Le Cordon Bleu, much to his father's disgust. "A Huntington doesn't cook," Richard had said. "A Huntington owns the restaurants." "I need time," Alex said finally. "You have 6 weeks. I need to think about this." Richard waved his hand dismissively. "Think all you want. The engagement party is scheduled. The contracts are being drafted. Your thinking won't change the outcome." Alex left the office, his mind racing. In the elevator, he pulled out his phone and called the only person he trusted. "Marcus, I need your help with something crazy." 3 days later, Alex stood outside a beautiful Brooklyn brownstone, his heart pounding. He'd traded his $1,000 suits for jeans and a simple button-down. Thick framed glasses he didn't need sat on his nose. He'd grown out his beard, styled his hair differently, and adopted the persona of Alex Carter, a freelance chef looking for work. Marcus had thought he was insane. "You want to go undercover in your future wife's house? What are you, a stalker?" "I want to know who she really is," Alex had insisted. "Not some photo at a gala, not some corporate profile. I want to see the real Sophia Chen before I agree to spend my life with her. And if she finds out, she won't." Now, standing at her door, Alex wasn't so sure. This was reckless, stupid even. But the alternative was marrying a stranger, and that felt worse. He rang the doorbell. The woman who answered was not the woman in the photograph. Her dark hair was pulled into a messy bun, flour dusting her cheek. She wore faded jeans and an apron that read, "Eat, pray, love carbs." No makeup, no designer clothes. She looked harried, exhausted, and utterly real. "Oh, thank God," she said, wiping her hands on her apron. "You're the chef, right? Please tell me you're the chef. Alex Carter?" "Aye, yes, that's me." Alex tried to reconcile this woman with the cold socialite in the photo. "You're Sophia Chen?" "Unfortunately, yes. Sorry, I'm a mess. My chef quit yesterday with 0 notice, and I have 3 catering orders due tomorrow, a food blog post deadline tonight, and I think I just burned something." She sniffed the air and swore. "Yep, definitely burning something. Come in, come in." She rushed back inside, leaving Alex standing in the doorway, stunned. He followed her into a kitchen that was chaos incarnate. Pots on every burner, ingredients scattered across marble countertops, timers beeping frantically. Sophia grabbed a pot from the stove just before it boiled over. Sorry, not the best first impression. I'm usually more organised than this." "Well, that's a lie. I'm never organised. but I'm usually better at hiding it. Alex found himself smiling. It's fine. Can I help? Can you? She looked at him with desperate hope. I have chicken stock about to burn, pastry dough that needs to rest, and a souffle that's probably already dead. Pick your poison. Without thinking, Alex moved to the stove, assessing the situation with practiced efficiency. He lowered the heat on the stock, checked the oven temperature, and glanced at the pastry dough. This needs another 20 minutes in the fridge. The souffle is definitely dead, but we can start another one. And your stock is fine. It just needed less heat. Sophia stared at him. Are you real? Please tell me you're real and not some stress-induced hallucination. I'm real. Alex extended his hand. Alex Carter, professional chef, apparently also a knight in shining armor. She shook his hand, her grip firm and warm. Sophia Chen, overwhelmed business owner and terrible kitchen manager. Can you start today? Right now? Please say yes. Don't you want to check my references? See my resume? Your resume is that you just saved my stock and diagnosed my souffle problem in 30 seconds. You're hired. When can you start? Alex laughed, a genuine laugh that surprised him. Right now, I guess. Perfect. Sophia pulled off her apron and tossed him a clean one. Welcome to Controlled Chaos. I should warn you, I'm not the easiest person to work for. I'm demanding, perfectionist, and I stress bake at 2 a.m. Noted. I'm also broke, so I can't pay you what you're probably worth. But I can offer room and board. There's a guest house out back, and all the food you can eat. Alex tied the apron around his waist. Sounds perfect. Great. Now help me save these catering orders before I lose 3 clients and my sanity. They worked side by side for the next 6 hours. Alex watched Sophia move through her kitchen, and slowly he began to see the real woman beneath the stress. She was passionate about food in a way that reminded him why he'd fallen in love with cooking in the first place. She tasted everything, adjusted seasonings with precision, and genuinely cared about every dish that left her kitchen. She was also kind in unexpected ways. When a delivery driver arrived late, she didn't yell, she offered him coffee and asked about his day. When a client called to complain about an order, she listened patiently and promised to make it right, even though Alex could see she wasn't at fault. Around midnight, with the catering orders finally complete, Sophia collapsed into a chair at the kitchen island. I can't remember the last time I had help that actually helped. My last chef spent more time on his phone than cooking. Alex poured 2 glasses of wine and slid one across to her. Why did he quit? Honestly, I think I worked him too hard. I forget that not everyone is as obsessed with this business as I am. She sipped the wine and closed her eyes. My mother started this business 30 years ago. When she died 2 years ago, she left me everything. The catering company, the restaurant downtown, the food blog, all of it. I'm trying so hard to keep it all going, to honor her legacy, but some days I feel like I'm drowning. There was such raw honesty in her voice that Alex felt a pang of guilt. He was here under false pretenses, lying about who he was, while she shared her truth so freely. I'm sure she'd be proud of you, he said quietly. Sophia opened her eyes and looked at him. You don't know that. You don't even know me. I know you worked for 18 hours straight today to make sure your clients got exactly what they ordered. I know you hand-delivered food to that elderly woman next door, even though she can't pay you. I know you cried when you thought you'd ruined a batch of your mother's signature macarons. He'd seen her wipe away tears earlier, thinking he wasn't looking. That tells me everything I need to know. She studied him for a long moment, something shifting in her expression. Where did you come from, Alex Carter? Connecticut, he lied smoothly. Well, it wasn't entirely a lie. He was from Connecticut, just the wealthier part than he was implying. And you ended up here, in my disaster of a kitchen. Why exactly? I needed a change. Something real. Your ad said you were looking for a chef who actually cared about food, not just cooking. That resonated. She swirled her wine. Well, I'm glad my desperate late-night job posting found you. If you can survive today, you can survive anything I throw at you. I'll take that as a challenge. She laughed, and Alex felt something warm settle in his chest. Her laugh was nothing like the polished smiles he saw at charity galas. It was unguarded, genuine, a little bit snorty, and absolutely perfect. Fair warning, Sophia said. standing and stretching. I'm not always this much of a disaster. Tomorrow will be worse. Can't wait. She showed him to the guest house, a cosy converted garage with a small bedroom, bathroom and sitting area. It was modest by Alex's standards, but charming in its simplicity. No marble, no gold fixtures, no designer furniture. Just clean, comfortable and real. As he unpacked his small bag, he deliberately brought only essentials to maintain his cover. Alex called Marcus. "How's the spy mission going?" Marcus asked, not bothering to hide his amusement. "She's nothing like the photo." Oh, that's not the tone of a man conducting reconnaissance. That's the tone of a man who's in trouble." "I'm not in trouble. I'm just surprised. She's not some cold corporate heiress. She's warm and funny, and she genuinely cares about her work. She stays up until midnight perfecting macarons because her mother's recipe has to be exactly right." "Alexander," Marcus's voice turned serious. "Remember why you're there. You have 6 weeks to figure out if you can marry this woman. Don't forget you're lying to her every second you're in that house." "I know. Do you? Because from where I'm sitting, you sound like you're already falling for her. And when she finds out who you really are, she's not going to care about your noble intentions. She's going to feel betrayed. I'll tell her, eventually. I just need time to what? Dig yourself deeper? This is a bad idea, man." "It was a bad idea 3 days ago, and it's a worse idea now." Alex rubbed his face. "I can't marry someone I don't know, Marcus. I can't do what my father wants just because it's convenient for business. I need to know if there's something real here, something worth fighting for." "And if there is, what then? You think she'll forgive you for this?" "I don't know, but I have to try." Marcus sighed. "You're playing with fire. Just remember, you're not Alex Carter. You're Alexander Huntington. And eventually, she's going to find out." After hanging up, Alex lay in the unfamiliar bed, staring at the ceiling. Marcus was right. This was reckless and selfish and bound to end badly. But for the first time in years, Alex felt like he was doing something that mattered, something real. The next 2 weeks fell into a rhythm that felt dangerously comfortable. Alex woke at 5 to help Sophia prep for her catering orders. They worked side by side, their movements becoming synchronized. She'd reach for a pan just as he finished with it. He'd start chopping vegetables before she asked. They developed a shorthand, communicating with looks and gestures more than words. In the afternoons, while Sophia managed her blog and administrative work, Alex experimented with new recipes. He'd pitch ideas over dinner, and she'd taste them with the focused intensity of a professional critic. "This risotto is good," she said one evening, "but it needs something. More acid, maybe? A squeeze of lemon?" He tried it. She was right. She was always right when it came to flavors. "How do you do that?" he asked. "You taste something once and immediately know what it needs. My mother, she trained my palate from childhood. She said a chef who can't taste is like a painter who can't see." Sophia's expression softened. "She was tough, demanding, but she taught me everything I know. Tell me about her." Sophia looked surprised. "You really want to know?" "I really want to know." So she told him. Stories of learning to cook in her mother's restaurant, of the perfectionism that drove Margaret Chen, of the legacy that now sat heavy on Sophia's shoulders. She talked about the pressure of living up to expectations, of trying to honor her mother's vision while finding her own voice. "Sometimes I wonder if I'm good enough," she admitted quietly. "If I can really do this on my own." "You're not on your own." Alex said, "Not anymore." She looked at him, something vulnerable and hopeful in her eyes. "No, I guess I'm not." They were growing closer, and Alex knew it was dangerous. Every smile, every shared joke, every late-night conversation made the lie bigger. But he couldn't stop himself. For the first time in his life, someone saw him, not Alexander Huntington, billionaire heir, but just Alex. Just a man who loved to cook and could make her laugh. One evening, while they were cleaning up after a particularly successful dinner service, Sophia's phone rang. She glanced at the screen and her expression tightened. "I need to take this," she said, stepping into her office. Alex tried not to eavesdrop, but her raised voice carried through the door. "I understand that, Richard, but I haven't even met your son yet. How am I supposed to agree to marry someone I've never spoken to?" Pause. "Yes, I know what my mother wanted. I know about the business arrangement. But I'm not her, and I need time to..." Longer pause. Fine. The engagement party is in 4 weeks. I'll be there, but I'm not promising anything beyond that. She hung up and returned to the kitchen, her face carefully neutral. Alex's heart was pounding. 4 weeks. He had 4 weeks before she discovered who he really was. "Everything okay?" he asked, keeping his voice casual. Sophia poured herself a glass of wine with shaking hands. "Just family business, nothing important." "Sophia, it's fine, really." But her smile didn't reach her eyes. "Actually, there's something I should probably tell you about my personal situation." Alex set down the dish towel, his throat tight. "Okay." Sophia took a long drink before speaking. "I'm supposed to get married. Well, not supposed to. That makes it sound like I want to, which I don't. But my mother arranged it before she died. A business merger, essentially. My restaurant empire combined with some hotel conglomerate owned by a man named Richard Huntington." Alex forced his expression to remain neutral, even as his pulse hammered in his ears. "And you agreed to this?" "Not exactly. My mother made it her dying wish. How do you say no to that?" Sophia's laugh was bitter. "His son's name is Alexander Huntington. I've never met him. I've seen exactly one photo from some charity event where he looked bored and entitled. But apparently we're supposed to meet at an engagement party in 4 weeks and pretend we're excited about spending our lives together. That's insane. That's my life." She turned to face him fully. The thing is, the marriage would save my business. The Huntingtons have the capital to expand, to renovate the restaurant, to take everything my mother built and make it bigger, and maybe that's what she would have wanted. Maybe I'm being selfish by hesitating." "You're not being selfish," Alex said firmly. "Wanting to marry someone you actually know isn't selfish. It's human." "Is it, though? People have arranged marriages all the time. Maybe love isn't necessary. Maybe partnership and respect are enough." But she didn't sound convinced. "Do you believe that?" Sophia was quiet for a long moment. "I don't know what I believe anymore. A month ago, I would have said no, that I'd never marry someone I didn't love. But then my last chef quit and I was drowning, and I thought maybe this arranged marriage is my only option. Maybe I'm not meant to do this alone." "You're not alone." The words came out more intense than Alex intended. "You have people who care about you, who believe in you." She met his eyes, and something passed between them. Something electric and dangerous, and entirely too real. "Do I?" "Yes." Alex wanted to touch her, to close the distance between them, but he held himself back. "You're one of the strongest people I've ever met, Sophia. You don't need some corporate merger to validate that." "You barely know me." "I know enough." The air between them felt charged. Sophia looked away first, breaking the moment. "I should probably stop dumping my problems on my employee. That's wildly unprofessional." "I don't feel like an employee." "No?" She glanced back at him, a small smile playing at her lips. "What do you feel like? A friend, maybe? If that's allowed?" "It's allowed." Her smile widened. "Though, I should warn you, my friends usually regret it. I'm high maintenance. I'll take my chances." They finished cleaning in comfortable silence, but Alex's mind was racing. She was supposed to marry him in 4 weeks, the real him, Alexander Huntington, the bored, entitled rich boy from the photo. How could he tell her that the man she was growing to trust, to maybe care about, and the man she dreaded marrying were the same person? That night, he called Marcus again. "She knows about the arrangement," Alex said without preamble. "She told me about having to marry Alexander Huntington." "And what did you say?" "I told her she shouldn't marry someone she doesn't know." Marcus groaned. "You're giving her advice about yourself. This is getting too complicated, man. You need to tell her the truth." "I will. I just need the right moment." "There is no right moment. Every day you wait makes it worse. She's going to hate you when she finds out." "Maybe. Or maybe if she gets to know me first, as Alex Carter, she'll understand why I did this." "That's not how betrayal works, Alexander. She won't care about your good intentions. She'll only remember that you lied." Alex knew Marcus was right, but he couldn't bring himself to end this, not yet. Not when Sophia was finally starting to smile more, to laugh at his jokes, to lean against him while they cooked. Not when he was falling in love with her. The realization hit him like a punch to the gut. He was falling in love with his arranged fiancée, and she had no idea who he really was. Over the next week, their connection deepened. They started having breakfast together on the patio, talking about everything from childhood memories to philosophy to their favourite foods. Sophia told him about growing up in her mother's restaurant, learning to crack eggs before she could read. Alex told her carefully edited stories about his childhood, leaving out the private schools and trust funds and penthouse apartments. "Did your family support your culinary career?" Sophia asked one morning. Alex thought about his father's disgust, the constant refrain that cooking was beneath a Huntington. "Not exactly. They thought I should do something more traditional." "Like what?" "Business, finance, something that made money instead of just costing it." Sophia nodded understanding. "My mother was supportive, but only because I was learning her trade. If I'd wanted to do anything else, I think she would have disowned me. Our parents put so much pressure on us to be who they want instead of who we are." "Do you ever wish you'd done something different?" She considered this. "Sometimes. When I'm drowning in invoices and dealing with health inspectors and worrying about making payroll, I wonder what it would be like to have a normal job. Something with regular hours and weekends off." She smiled. "But then I create something perfect, or a client tells me my food made their event special, and I remember why I do this. What about you? Any regrets?" "Only that I didn't do it sooner. I spent too many years trying to please people who didn't want to be pleased." "Well, you please me." She said it casually, but her cheeks flushed. "I mean, your cooking pleases me. The food. Your food pleases me." Alex grinned. "I understood what you meant. Shut up." She threw a napkin at him, laughing. "You know what I meant." These moments of levity were punctuated by growing tension. Alex caught Sophia watching him sometimes, her expression thoughtful and confused, as if she was trying to solve a puzzle. Once, while reaching for the same ingredient, their hands touched and neither pulled away immediately. The contact lasted only seconds, but felt like an eternity. "Sorry," Sophia murmured, withdrawing her hand. "Don't be." She looked at him, and Alex saw the conflict in her eyes. She was feeling this too, this pull between them, but she was engaged to someone else. Never mind that the someone else was him. The situation came to a head 2 weeks before the engagement party. Sophia received a call that her flagship restaurant was in financial trouble. Serious trouble. After she hung up, she sat at the kitchen island with her head in her hands. "The bank is threatening foreclosure," she said, her voice hollow. "I have 30 days to come up with $500,000, or I lose my mother's restaurant, the place she built from nothing, the place where I learned to cook. Gone." Alex's chest tightened. "There has to be something." "There isn't. I've maxed out every loan, every credit card. I've been bleeding money trying to keep everything afloat." She looked up at him, tears streaming down her face. "I'm failing her, Alex. I'm failing my mother." Without thinking, Alex pulled her into his arms. She collapsed against him, sobbing, and he held her while she broke apart. His mind was already working through solutions. He could pay off the debt easily. 500,000 was nothing to him. But how could he do it without revealing who he was? "You're not failing anyone," he said into her hair. "You're one person trying to do the work of 10. That's not failure. That's just impossible odds." "Then I need a miracle." "Maybe you'll get one." She pulled back, wiping her eyes. "I don't believe in miracles. I believe in hard work and luck, and right now I'm out of both." She took a shaky breath. "Maybe the arranged marriage is my answer. Maybe I can negotiate with the Huntingtons, get them to invest in the restaurant as part of the deal. It's mercenary, but what choice do I have?" Alex's heart shattered. She was considering marrying him. Not Alex Carter, but Alexander Huntington, out of desperation. Not love, not even respect, just financial survival. "Don't do that," he said. "Don't marry someone you don't love for money." "Easy for you to say. You're not about to lose everything your mother built." "No, but I know what it's like to be trapped by obligation and duty." "It's a prison, Sophia. A gilded cage is still a cage." She looked at him searchingly. "You sound like you're speaking from experience." He was treading dangerous ground. "I just don't want to see you sacrifice your happiness for a business deal." "What if happiness isn't an option for me? What if duty is all I have left?" "It's not. You have so much more than that. You're brilliant and talented, and you care so deeply about everything you do. Don't throw that away for someone who doesn't deserve you." And how do you know he doesn't deserve me? You've never met Alexander Huntington. I don't need to meet him to know he's not good enough for you. The words hung in the air between them. Sophia's expression shifted, something vulnerable and hopeful flickering across her face. Alex! His phone buzzed. Marcus. Alex ignored it. It buzzed again. And again. You should get that, Sophia said, pulling away. Alex checked his phone. 3 texts from Marcus. Your father knows where you are. He's on his way. You have maybe 20 minutes. Tell her now. Ice flooded Alex's veins. Sophia, I need to tell you something. Can it wait? I need to make some calls, see if there's any way to save the restaurant. It can't wait. Please just listen to me. I'm not who you think I am. My name isn't. The doorbell rang. They both froze. Sophia frowned. I'm not expecting anyone. Don't answer it. What? Why not? The doorbell rang again, followed by heavy knocking. Sophia, please, just let me explain first. But she was already walking to the door. Alex followed, his heart in his throat, knowing with absolute certainty that his world was about to explode. Sophia opened the door. Richard Huntington stood there in a $1,000 suit, flanked by 2 lawyers. His cold eyes swept past Sophia and landed on Alex. There you are, son, Richard said. We need to talk. Sophia looked between them confused. Son? I'm sorry, who are you? Richard Huntington, and you must be Sophia Chen, my future daughter-in-law. He extended his hand. Pleasure to finally meet you in person. What? Sophia shook his hand automatically, still confused. You're Alexander's father? That's right, and you've already met Alexander. Richard's smile was sharp as broken glass. Though he's been calling himself Alex Carter, hasn't he? The colour drained from Sophia's face. She turned to Alex slowly, and the betrayal in her eyes was like a knife to his chest. No, she whispered. No, that's not possible. Sophia, please let me explain. Alex reached for her. She jerked away from him. Don't touch me. Don't you dare touch me. Miss Chen, one of the lawyers interjected. We should discuss the engagement. Get out. Sophia's voice was low and dangerous. And all of you, get out of my house. Now, let's be reasonable. Richard started. Get out! She was screaming now, tears streaming down her face. You come into my home. You lie to me. She couldn't finish, her voice breaking on a sob. Sophia, please. Alex tried again. Was any of it real? She was looking at him now, her eyes devastated. Any of it? The conversations, the cooking, the friendship? Or was it all just some sick game to you? It was real. Everything between us was real. I swear. You swear? She laughed, a horrible broken sound. You swear? You've been lying to me every second since you walked through that door. You've been living in my home, eating my food, listening to my problems, and the whole time you were him. You were the entitled rich boy I'm supposed to marry. This was all just... What? Research? Due diligence? It wasn't like that. Then what was it like, Alexander? She spat his real name like poison. Tell me. Make me understand how lying to me for weeks could possibly be justified. Richard stepped forward. Perhaps we should all calm down and discuss this like adults. You need to leave, Sophia said, her voice cold now. Dead. Right now, before I call the police. There's no need for... I said leave. Alex looked at his father. Go, please. Let me talk to her alone. Alexander, don't be foolish. Go. Richard's expression hardened, but he nodded to his lawyers. We'll be in touch, Miss Chen. The engagement party is still scheduled for this weekend. We expect you both to be there. After they left, silence filled the house. Sophia stood with her back to Alex, her shoulders shaking. Sophia, stop calling me that. You don't get to use my name. Not anymore. Please, just listen to me. I know I lied. I know I betrayed your trust. But everything I felt was real. The way I feel about you is real. She turned around, and the look on her face gutted him. How am I supposed to believe anything you say? You've been pretending to be someone else this entire time. The man I thought I was getting to know doesn't even exist. He does exist. That was me, Sophia, the real me. Not Alexander Huntington, the billionaire heir. Just Alex, the guy who loves to cook and who... He stopped himself. Who what? Who fell in love with you? She flinched. Don't you dare use that word. You don't love me. You can't love someone you're lying to. I tried to tell you so many times, but you didn't. You had weeks, Alex, weeks to tell me the truth, and you chose to keep lying. Every single day you chose the lie. Fresh tears spilled down her cheeks. I told you things I've never told anyone. I trusted you. I thought you were my friend, maybe even... She cut herself off. It doesn't matter. None of it matters because it was all built on lies. The feelings weren't lies. How am I supposed to know what was real and what was performance? When you held me while I cried about the restaurant, was that real? Or were you just playing your role? When we stayed up until midnight perfecting recipes, were you actually enjoying yourself? Or were you gathering intel for your father? I never told my father anything. This wasn't about him or the business. This was about us. There is no us. She was shouting again. There's you, a liar who manipulated his way into my life. And there's me, an idiot who fell for it. The admission hung in the air. She'd fallen for it, for him. Sophia, I want you gone, out of my house, out of my life. I'll figure out the engagement party, the arrangement, all of it, but I never want to see you again. You don't mean that. I've never meant anything more in my life. Get out. Alex stood there, wanting to fight, to argue, to make her understand. But the look in her eyes told him he'd already lost. So he walked to the guest house, packed his few belongings, and left without another word. Back in his penthouse, Alex felt like a ghost. Marcus tried to talk to him, but Alex couldn't find words. He'd found something real, something precious, and he'd destroyed it with his own selfishness. Give her time, Marcus said. Maybe she'll come around. She won't. You should have seen her face, Marcus. I broke her. You made a mistake. A big one, yes, but people make mistakes. This wasn't a mistake. It was a choice. Every day I didn't tell her was a choice. The engagement party loomed like an execution. Alex knew he had to go, had to face Sophia and probably her righteous anger. Part of him hoped she wouldn't show up, that she'd refuse and end this whole charade. But another part of him desperately wanted to see her one more time. 2 days before the party, Alex was staring at his phone, debating whether to call her, when Marcus rushed in. You need to see this. He pulled up Sophia's social media. She'd posted a long message about her mother's restaurant, about legacy and duty, about doing what was right even when it hurt. And at the end, sometimes love means sacrifice. I'm ready to make mine. She's going through with it, Alex said numbly. She's going to marry me. Not you, Alexander Huntington. There's a difference. Is there? Marcus grabbed his shoulders. Listen to me, you have 2 days to fix this, 2 days to show her who you really are. I already showed her who I really am. That's why she hates me. No, you showed her a lie, and then the truth crashed down. You never gave her the full picture. You never told her why you did it. What difference does it make? All the difference. You didn't go undercover to sabotage her or gather intelligence. You did it because you refused to marry a stranger. You did it because you wanted to know if there could be something real between you. That's not malicious, Alexander. That's human. Alex closed his eyes. What am I supposed to do? Go to that party. Tell her everything, the real everything, why you went undercover, how you felt, what you were afraid of, and then let her decide. Not your father, not duty, not money, her choice. And if she says no, then at least you'll know you tried. The engagement party was a spectacle of wealth and excess, crystal chandeliers, champagne towers, 500 guests in designer clothes. Alex stood in his tuxedo, watching the entrance, waiting for Sophia to arrive. His father worked the room, schmoozing investors and business partners, treating the evening like another corporate merger. When Sophia finally entered, Alex's breath caught. She wore a midnight blue gown that made her look like starlight, her hair swept up elegantly. She looked every inch the society bride she was supposed to be. But her eyes were hollow, her smile practiced and empty. This wasn't the woman who'd laughed in her kitchen covered in flour. This was a stranger wearing Sophia's face. Their eyes met across the room. She didn't look away, but she didn't approach either. They were two actors in a play neither wanted to perform. Richard took the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us tonight to celebrate the engagement of my son Alexander to the lovely Sophia Chen. This union represents not just the joining of two people, but two great business empires. Alex stopped listening. He watched Sophia's face as his father droned on about market shares and expansion opportunities, reducing their lives to a PowerPoint presentation. She stood perfectly still, perfectly composed, perfectly miserable. Richard gestured them to the stage. Come! Let's have the happy couple say a few words. Alex walked to the stage, Sophia approaching from the opposite side. They met in the middle under the spotlight, and up close, Alex could see the sadness she was trying to hide. "Smile," she whispered through clenched teeth. "Everyone's watching." "Sophia, please, not here. Not now." Richard handed Alex the microphone expectantly. The crowd waited. Sophia stood beside him, close enough to touch but miles away. Alex looked at the microphone in his hand. He looked at the crowd of strangers and business associates who didn't care about him or Sophia, only about what they represented. He looked at his father, already counting the profits from this arrangement. And finally, he looked at Sophia, the woman he loved, who was sacrificing everything because she thought she had no other choice. He'd already lost her. What did he have left to lose? "I need to say something," Alex started, his voice carrying through the room. "I came into Sophia's life under false pretenses. I lied about who I was. I manipulated my way into her home and her trust." The crowd murmured. Sophia's eyes widened. "I told myself I had good reasons. I didn't want to marry a stranger, so I disguised myself as a chef and got hired to work for her. I thought I was being clever, protecting myself." "Alexander?" Richard's voice was sharp with warning. "But the truth is, I was a coward. I was afraid that if she knew who I really was, she'd only see Alexander Huntington, the billionaire, the duty, the arrangement, and I wanted her to see me. Just me." He turned to face Sophia fully. "And she did. She saw the parts of me I'd forgotten existed. She reminded me why I fell in love with cooking in the first place. She showed me what it means to work for something you believe in, to care about people, to build something real." Tears were forming in Sophia's eyes, but she didn't speak. "I know I hurt you," Alex continued, speaking only to her now, forgetting the crowd. "I know I broke your trust in the worst possible way, and I understand if you can never forgive me, but you need to know that everything between us was real. Every conversation, every laugh, every moment we shared, that was the real me. Not Alexander Huntington trying to protect his interests. Just Alex, falling completely and hopelessly in love with the most amazing woman I've ever met." "This is highly inappropriate," Richard tried to interject. "I don't care." Alex's voice was strong now, certain. He looked at his father. "I'm walking away, from the company, from the arrangement, from all of it. Sophia deserves someone who's honest with her from the start, someone who sees her for who she is, not what she can provide for a business deal." He turned back to Sophia. "You told me once that you felt like you had to do this, that you had no choice. But you do have a choice. You always have a choice." He handed the microphone to a stunned production assistant and started to walk off the stage. "Wait." Sophia's voice stopped him. She took the microphone, her hand shaking. "You're right. You lied to me. You broke my trust in ways I didn't think were possible." Her voice cracked. "But I also read your journal, the one you left in the guest house." Alex's heart stopped. "I read about how conflicted you were, how guilty you felt. I read about the man who stayed up until 3 a.m. researching ways to help save my restaurant without me knowing. The man who was willing to give up everything he had just to be with me." She wiped her eyes, mascara running. "I was so angry at you. I am still angry at you. You had so many chances to tell me the truth, and you didn't. I know. I'm so sorry. But I also understand why you did it. Because I was doing the same thing, wasn't I? I was so focused on who I thought Alexander Huntington was, some entitled rich boy who couldn't boil water, that I never considered he might be a real person with real feelings. I never gave you a chance before deciding I couldn't love you." The crowd was completely silent now, hanging on every word. "The man I fell in love with in my kitchen was you," Sophia said, her voice stronger now. "Not Alex Carter, the chef. Not Alexander Huntington, the billionaire. Just you, the man who made me laugh, who understood my passion for cooking, who held me when I cried and pushed me to believe in myself." She took a shaky breath. "I don't want an arranged marriage. I don't want a business merger. But if you're willing to start over, honestly this time, with no more lies and no more pretending, I'd like to get to know the real Alexander Huntington. Maybe over dinner?" Alex felt tears streaming down his own face. "Can I cook?" Sophia laughed through her tears. "Only if you use your real name this time." He crossed the stage in 3 strides and pulled her into his arms. She met him halfway, their lips colliding in a kiss that felt like coming home. The crowd erupted, some in applause, some in confused whispers, but Alex didn't care. He had Sophia in his arms, and nothing else mattered. When they finally broke apart, both breathless and crying and laughing all at once, Richard approached the microphone. Well, he said, looking bemused, I suppose the engagement is still on? Alex turned to him, keeping one arm around Sophia. Actually, Dad, there's not going to be a business merger. Sophia and I are going to do this our own way. She doesn't need your money, and neither do I. Alexander, be reasonable. I am being reasonable. For the first time in my life, I'm choosing what I want over what's expected. If you can't accept that, then I guess I'm choosing Sophia over the company. Richard looked between them, his expression unreadable. Finally, he sighed. Your mother would have liked her. She always said you needed someone who'd call you on your nonsense. He extended his hand to Sophia. Welcome to the family, Miss Chen. Though I suspect you'll keep my son far more honest than I ever could. Sophia shook his hand, looking dazed. Thank you, I think. Don't thank me yet. He's a handful. But there was a slight smile on Richard's face. As the party dissolved into chaos, guests gossiping, business associates reassessing, and reporters scrambling for the story, Alex and Sophia slipped away to a quiet balcony overlooking the city. So, Sophia said, leaning against the railing, that happened. That happened. Alex stood beside her, not quite touching but close. I meant what I said about starting over, doing this right. No more lies? No more lies. Hi, I'm Alexander Huntington. I'm 28 years old. I have a culinary degree my father thinks is useless, and I'm completely in love with you. Your turn. Sophia smiled, a real smile this time. Hi, I'm Sophia Chen. I'm 26. I run a catering business that barely breaks even, and I stress bake at 2 in the morning. Also, I might be falling in love with you too, even though you're an idiot. That's fair. A really big idiot. But also fair. Who lied to me for weeks? I'm never going to live that down, am I? Not a chance. But she was smiling as she said it. You're going to spend years making this up to me. I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to you if that's what it takes. She finally closed the distance between them, taking his hand. I'm going to hold you to that. 6 months later, Alex stood in Sophia's kitchen, their kitchen now, watching her taste the sauce he'd been working on. They'd turned her catering business into a partnership, combining her mother's recipes with his techniques. The flagship restaurant was thriving under their joint management. They'd even started teaching cooking classes together on weekends. Needs more salt, Sophia said, handing him the spoon. You always say that? Because you always undersalt. But she was grinning. Otherwise it's perfect. Alex added a pinch of salt and tried it again. She was right. She was always right. So, Sophia said, wrapping her arms around his waist from behind, what should we call this dish for the new menu? How about second chances? She rested her chin on his shoulder. Perfect. Just like us. We're far from perfect. No, but we're real, and that's better. Alex turned in her arms and kissed her forehead. Much better. As they stood there in the kitchen where it all began, Alex thought about how close he'd come to losing everything. The lies, the betrayal, the pain, it had almost destroyed them. But somehow, miraculously, they'd found their way back to each other. Not as Alexander Huntington and Sophia Chen, the arranged marriage couple, not as Alex Carter and his boss, but as themselves, flawed, honest, and completely imperfectly in love. Hey, Sophia said softly, where'd you go just now? Just thinking about how lucky I am. That's my line. She pulled him closer. Come on, Chef Huntington. We have a dinner service to prep for. Yes, boss. As they moved through the kitchen together, their movements synchronized from months of practice, Alex smiled. This, the work, the partnership, the love built on honesty and trust, this was what he'd been searching for all along. Not a business arrangement or a society marriage, but something real, something worth fighting for. And it had all started with a lie that became the truth. If you enjoyed this story of love, deception, and second chances, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel for more incredible stories, and comment below. Would you forgive someone who lied to you but truly loved you? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Hit that notification bell so you never miss our next story. Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes the best love stories start with the biggest mistakes.